Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I'm going over the PowerPoint presentations and also showing some code for Murock's Android Programming 2nd Edition by Joel Murock. We're in the middle of Chapter 3 of our PowerPoints, and we've been going over and starting to add some code to our tip calculator app. Alright, now we've gotten to this point right here where we put all this in, and right there, as it says, what we're doing there is we are literally setting the associated interface right there. So bill amount edit text dot set on editor action listener. What that's saying is we're going to be listening for the user to put something into here. And when they do, or there, whatever you want to say, then we want to react to it. And that's exactly, that's exactly what we're talking about in here. Now, after we implement that, you notice that since we implemented, all right, we have to write some code for that particular method. Now, what you see here is the code for the onEditor action. Okay? So after we declared the interface, we could have automatically generated the declaration by clicking on the error icon and letting the system put it in for us. All right? And then there would have been a thing there that we could have clicked on the error and selected add unimplemented methods. Would have been easier probably than typing it in manually. Now this IME that you see here in the code, where my mouse is right now, that stands for Input Method Editor. It's a user control like a soft keyboard that allows you to input data. All right? And you'll notice here we've got IME action done, which typically is going to close the soft keyboard, and we've got IME action unspecified, which is no specified operation, typically an action key on an older device such as an enter key. There are three other possibilities in here, those being IME underscore action underscore go, which typically takes the user to the target specified by them. There's IME underscore action underscore next, which typically takes the user to the next field that needs text input. And there's IME underscore action underscore search, which typically will be used with a search operation to search for text specified by the user. Now, the first element in here that says here right there text view, that first parameter or argument, that determines which widget triggered the event. The second thing that's in there, right there, that determines which action key triggered the event. And finally, to determine whether the action was triggered via the enter key, that's the third argument that you see right here. So again, already mentioned, but saying it again for consistency's sake, as mentioned here, an input method editor is a user control like a soft keyboard that allows the user to input data. Now, when you work with text widgets, you'll notice there that there is a get text and a set text. All right, those are typically referred to as accessor methods. The get is often just called an accessor because it's grabbing something. If I meet you for the first time and I say, "Hi, I'm Jeff, what's your name?" I am getting your name. All right, that's a get routine. And you notice that when you get text, you don't specify any argument. As you can see up there, it's just get text paren paren. Set text, on the other hand, is typically referred to as a mutator. You are changing the value of something with set text, and you will provide a parameter that has the text you are trying to set. So there are examples there, and these examples are also shown in your book on page 67. You'll notice in the first case, when you use get text appears on the right-hand side of an equal sign. Set text is not even used in conjunction with an equal sign. So for many widgets, you can use the get text and set text method to get and set the text displayed on the widget. All right, if necessary, you can also use the integer, double, and float classes to convert strings to the right character type. And or you can use the number format class to convert numeric values to string values. All right, so if you have to do formatting where you use a $sign or a percent sign or whatever. What I'd like to do, and this is almost going to seem like a step backward, but what's hard about doing these is sometimes I get too wrapped up in the PowerPoint, and sometimes I get too wrapped up in the code. I think this is a case where I got too wrapped up in the code. All right, so I want to make sure that people understand we are talking about working with activities. All right. And most of the time, most people equate an activity, all right, it might be a screen, all right, or whatever is going on. Remember, since we use the empty activity template, it automatically generated some code for us, which we have now been manipulating. All right, I manually got rid of that import statement for the V7 app compat support library. Now I want to look in here, and I want to go back to my code, and it still looks like there's plenty of errors. All right, so you can see that. It says here, this must be declared as abstract or implement the abstract method on editor action. Trying to figure out why I'm getting that particular class must be declared abstract or implement the abstract method on editor action, which we are doing right here. We'll just keep going on. All right. So when we came in here, this allowed us to get the references to all three, to the text box where we're or edit text component where we're going to enter the amount of the bill, and to the text view, which is going to show the tip and the final total. All right, which we have not done yet. Now again, when we left these out, what the author is saying is, had we put these in here, and I believe, had we left these out there, here, had we left these out, the system would have, of course, given us an error message, but it would have told us what we had to add, and you could have added them like that. All right. The other thing is, once we add these, as we've done, again, I want to make sure you hear this again and again and again. We are using that R or resource file. This is saying, for lack of better words, grab what we've got listed in our code and associate that with a variable. Do it again with a variable. Do it again with a variable. All right. Since in here, since we are implementing the on-editor action listener, we need to set the listener here and we need to override it here. So there looks like there could be something incorrect or incomplete here. Trying to see if I missed anything. So bundle activity. Let's just do what we can to put this in jive with what's actually in the book. Activity bundle. We don't have key event. We don't need that yet, but we can put it in anyway. And you'll notice after putting that in, it's gotten rid of most all of our errors. And there, now I think all of our errors are gone. So remember that an event handler is a special type of method that's used or executes when an event occurs. In our case, we're going to want it to occur at least when the user goes and puts in, both when the user goes and puts a value into the edit text, and we'll want the text view to change whenever the user clicks the plus or the minus button. Now, a listener is an object that listens for an event. All right, and I was not complete here, and I did give me error messages because I didn't have this stuff in there. And that's why I was getting those error messages, because we had to import the interface for the listener and then implement the listener. All right. Finally, we did this onEditor action, and the editor action event typically occurs when the user uses a soft keyboard. That pretty much gets us caught up, I believe, to where I wanted us to be. All right. So we just looked at set text and get text. All right. Now the author does give some code in here. This isn't put into the program, but this would set the text for the tip view text to test1. All right. Here is a method that calculates and displays amounts. Think about it. Play computer here to think about what's actually happening. This says if there's nothing inside of the bill amount, if it's been left blank, the bill amount is 0. Otherwise, since we put something into that edit text, but since it's actually gone in there as a string, what I want you to do is to convert it to a number, and that's what that else is doing. Then we want to calculate the tip, and we want to calculate the total. We're assuming here that the tip percentage is 0.15 or 15%, and we're saying that the tip amount is your bill times your tip, and the final total is the bill plus the tip amount. And then we're doing some numeric formatting. Hopefully, looking at that, it makes some sense to you. All right? So, pages 68 and 69 show how to handle the click event. The steps for handling the click event are the same as for handling the editor action that we saw earlier. First, you import the interface. All right, as shown right there, you import the interface for the listener. Second, you implement the interface by declaring it and implementing any methods declared for that interface. And third, you wire the listener to a widget. Let's try doing it that way this time. So let's come in here, and under this public class, etc., etc., I'm going to just start putting in some code here. Why am I getting that? Missing return statement. It should have been returned false down in the bottom here. Now let's continue on. So I'm going to say, come in here and say, this will result in an error. I'm telling you from the get-go. Override. Okay. And we want to say here, actually before we do that, we'll put in public. I'm taking this code directly from page 69 in the book. Class tip calculator activity implements. Oh, don't need that, I'm sorry. But we want to implement another interface up here. So we're implementing this, comma, and another one. What other one? All right. The on-click listener. All right. Notice it's red. And it says cannot resolve symbol on-click listener. All right. We're going to fix that in just a minute. So I'm going to come down to here, and I'm going to put in our override. I guess I could have left that in there. Public void on click view v. This right here that we're doing, and I got to spell void correctly, this is going to say when we click the plus button, add 1% to our tip. When we click the minus button, remove 1% from the tip. And you'll notice we're getting, oh boy, a lot of stuff in here that's red. Cannot resolve symbol, cannot resolve symbol. That's because right here, cannot resolve symbol. What we need to add here is we need to import android.view.onClick listener. Small v, or small I should say. Now, in a minute, that stuff is all, it'll all fix itself. You'll have to take my word for it, but it will. Now again, some people get real anal with this. So they will take this, move that down, put it here, and then start looking. Okay, app, OS, VK, well, this would be a VI. It should be there, VV, WE, WE. So now it is in alphabetic order. All right. I want to finish this, and I'm already getting up there at 18 minutes, but I want to finish this code, and then we'll stop and pick it up again on the life cycle of an activity, because that's a really good place for us to go and basically get everything else done. All right. So the figure that's in our text here, this shows us how to handle the click event. Again, in English, it says if we click the button with a minus sign on it, subtract 1% from our tip percent. If we click the one with the plus button on it, add 1% to our tip. All right. I'm going to actually just stop it right here. We're going to go over the life cycle of an activity next. And after we do that, then we'll come back and we will actually put the Java code in for the app. All right. So I'll be back with that in just a couple minutes. But first, I guess I have to clean this up a bit.